I'm often left wondering how and where do we actually begin to architect the all-elusive golden age? We can all agree that any change in society begins at the most fundamental me and you level. But who exactly is responsible for disseminating the learnings to honor interpersonal relationships and dignity? Is it parents, the government, aliens, the metaverse? Do fundamental rules of religion actually provide a roadmap? Is there a sense of inherent knowing present within us all? Or perhaps there's something deeper than that at play? Yes? No? Yes? Now, the internets abound with new agey buzzwords and pop psych lexicon, and if you've been on my page long enough, you must have heard something somewhere in the lines of FOI, RTSD, and IC. Okay, believe me, you know these. Freedom of information, right to self-determination, and informed consent. Now, how do these principles function in personal relationships and ultimately affect society on a larger perspective? Let's work with an example here. Have you ever received the short end of the stick in a relationship or a situation? Now, if you're born with lucky feet, have Satan running your personal errands, or maybe you're a Nancy Drew, you find out that the person delivering sweet nothings into your telegram is also broadcasting the same ruse to 5 others. Darling, I waited centuries for someone like you. Send to all. Oh, you can probably only do that on WhatsApp, yeah? Not sure. Now, what the party in question is engaging in is unethical non-monogamy. And what should have happened is, you guessed it, informed consent. Yeah. And if you don't see consent, then you're just a deceptive. So here's our humble effort at accepting ethical non-monogamy as a valid orientation on the love plus spectrum. And here's a 1 in a million chance for all cheaters to find refuge under the non-monogamy umbrella. But, it comes with a price tag. That price is honesty and full disclosure. Otherwise, you're not eligible for redemption nor refuge. If you prefer to engage in an ENM, ethical non-monogamy construct, then it is incumbent upon you to inform your partners and disclose your personal intent in that you wish to engage in and or are practicing non-monogamy. It's called consensual non-monogamy. Hello, CNM. Disclosure is not just a moral mandate, but an open call to humanity in order to foster honesty, trust, and acceptance so that we can be well on our way to evolve into higher human beings. Now, the potential benefits of disclosure can be great, including finding the kinds of loving, sustainable connections that affirm who you really are and not just who others say you're supposed to be. But if you don't do your due, it just makes you. Not only is full disclosure the right thing to do, it's the only good thing to do. Plus, who knows, you might just find the loves of your life. But hey, now that we're on this hotline, let's talk about the psychological impact of ENM and poly relationships. Besides directly learning of first-hand experiences of friends who were born within polygamous marriage constructs, women and children are undoubtedly on the losing end of the game when it comes to polygamy. Women are genuinely at risk of experiencing psychological and emotional distress in poly relationships. Thus, the psychological impact on children include mental health problems, social problems, and lower academic achievement. A recent study published in December 2021 has demonstrated that 86.8% of women in poly settings experienced emotional distress. 17% experienced fearful feelings. 58.4% experienced low self-esteem. And 64.1% experienced loneliness. There were also significant differences between women in poly and monomarriages. There was a higher prevalence of depression, anxiety, hostility, paranoid ideation, psychoticism, and psychiatric disorders, as well as lower ratings of life and marital satisfaction, family functioning, and self-esteem among polygamous wives. It's clear that women and children both often suffer in constructs of poly relationships. Now, in all eventuality, it's essential to recognize that non-monogamy is not a valid relationship construct unless it's supported by all involved via disclosure and informed consent. Now, this brings us to the importance of informed consent. So, what exactly constitutes consent? Consent is the agency to make an informed decision based upon information provided, wherein the individual has the ability to understand the information, the situation, and its implied consequences. If information is withheld from the individual or individuals involved, then the person withholding the information, by lack of communication and by hiding their true intentions, is simply an abuser. Such behavior is tantamount to manipulation into a false situation by the abuser, thereby committing violation against a person's dignity and agency. At the heart of everything lies communication by way of the right to information in order to activate consent, be it a relationship or a transaction of any nature. Otherwise, it negates agency in the relationship, skewing the power dynamic in favor of the abuser. You have the right to access information held by another person, entity, or organization if that information affects you directly. For instance, you get involved with someone who engages in the practice of unethical non-monogamy whilst you're a monogamist. This will affect your life directly if this information was withheld from you prior to you making an informed decision to engage with them. It amounts to what you may call deception in a romantic context, and ultimately, it is in actuality a violation of human rights. I don't need to explain the consequences of an entanglement of such nature. Conversely, if the non-monogamist informs you of the nature of their intentions before you engage with each other, then you get to make informed choices based on the information presented to you. This is true agency. If humans engage with these basic fundamental values, then not only do we protect and respect each other, but everyone gets to eventually keep their human dignity intact. And to think that we are the very people sitting in places influencing legislation and government, what kind of a world do you think we are eventually creating? A government is not some single monstrous overlord. It is the sum of us all. The government is a human institution. The cyber matrix is a human institution. AI is a human-led, human-influenced institution. We do not get to complain about the state of this world unless and until we overthrow our base human behaviors. This is not what we were meant for. If the vision of a golden age is to come to fruition, then we must elevate ourselves from our base, low-level, animalistic natures and claim the power of a sovereign human being, exercising the highest expressions of values that we've been invested with in the animal kingdom as supreme, knowledgeable beings. Because for as long as these types of behaviors continue in our mundane lives, that's exactly the kind of governments we will be at the receiving end of. And until we don't truly understand what the right to self-determination, freedom of information, and informed consent actually mean in our internal lives, then all our freedom fighters and journalists will continue to be oppressed because of our own doing in the outer world. We contribute equally to their demise. Remember, truth and honesty and respect must always prevail. These are the values that enable consent, freedom of information, and the right to self-determination. We must be the holders of virtue in this age of deception that has claimed almost all on earth. We must strive to be the chosen ones who remain standing at the helm, at the edge, at the fringes, ushering the new golden age once more. So there you have it, the importance of informed consent, freedom of information, and the right to self-determination in mundane relationships that ultimately shapes, forms, influences, and transforms society at large. By promoting these principles, we can move towards a world that's more accepting, understanding, and respectful of everyone's identities and amorous orientations. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, remember, before you poly, tell Polly. After all, we want everyone to feel safe, happy, and fulfilled in our relationships, right? Right? Right. If you think this video is about you, then obviously you want to kill me. But I'm just here imagining the kind of people Julian pissed off. Now, that's something.
From the revelation of truth and all else.